A couple of years ago, I started noticing what was happening with generative AI. And I thought this was very interesting. And it helped bring the artist out in me. That I'm guessing there's an artist hiding in all of us somewhere or other. So the explosion of the Gen AI and the new tools allowed me to play a little bit with creativity and play a little bit with ideas. And we have all been discussing generative AI since then. I mean, how it relates to learning and teaching, how it relates to research, and all of these issues. We are here to conquer fear. Yes, we have all come out of the Halloween events and celebrations, being kind of pestered by monsters and ghouls and ghosts and all the rest of it. But there is a monster that keeps chasing after us, which is the fear of the AI. There is a great deal of concern about how do we deal with AI and the challenges that it presents from a variety of different perspectives. How do we deal with the way the students are using it? How do we deal with the way the big tech companies are using it? How do we deal with issues of privacy, data, access, all of these things? However, I've discovered a bit of a problem. We spend so much time worrying about it, we are not actually enjoying ourselves. And what is worse, not only we're not enjoying ourselves, but we're missing out on the potential that these tools have to actually create exciting content for our students. Now, I don't know about you guys, but we tend to have certain issues with student engagement. Distance learning institutions, so engagement problems express themselves in different ways than we have them on a campus-based university. But everybody has issues about getting our message across, communicating our content across to the students in a way that they find exciting and interesting, in a way that it communicates for them and their generation as opposed to how it would communicate for us. So I've got a message for you today, or perhaps a message with two sections. Section one is stop being afraid of the AI. Think about how we could use it and think about what we could do with it. And secondly, once you got rid of the fear, be ready to embrace it. Right. Okay. Examples. Now, this is for something. There's a QR code there with a set of resources for you guys to watch at home. Not right now, but at home. So you can use your phone to scan the QR code, and it's going to take you to a YouTube playlist where I put the various experiments of the fun things that I've done with AI. But since we're all here live, I'm going to tell you about it right now. Have you all interacted with chatbots? The sort of thing that you've got a problem with your Amazon delivery and then it says, click the chatbot, and then actually it doesn't identify itself as a chatbot right from the beginning, but it says, talk to our helpful assistant. And then you spend a little bit of time talking to the bot, trying to say what your problem is, trying to work out what they've done with your delivery. Interestingly, most of the things that you talk to these days in terms of customer support tend to be automated bots. To my horror, I was talking to customer support at YouTube for a complex problem that I had with payments. And about an hour into the discussion, I realized I was talking to a bot and not to a real person. This is how good this technology has been. And I worked it out when it said, oh, I'm going to have to transfer you to an advisor to finish this discussion because I cannot help you any longer. And I kind of went, hang on, who are you? Strangely enough, has anybody here used the library support at the OU? So if you got like a library question that you can click something and you can talk to somebody. Now, I assumed that the library support function was a chatbot. It turns out it's a real person. So we had like a very fun discussion with somebody in the middle of the night. But chatbots, we all know what they are. We've all engaged with them. And we hope that they can be transparent and identify that they're bots. It might sound silly to you as educators, but we can use the same functionality and the same power of this technology to actually assist our students on an on-demand basis. But what I'm talking about is not simply offering an AI-enabled chatbot that can answer student queries. I'm talking about something a little bit more out there. I'm talking about a digital avatar of the tutor that is available to the student 24/7 and can address queries, discuss with the student, act as a critical friend, act as a peer, offer opportunities for formative assessment. Now, it sounds, if you're not familiar with these technologies, it does sound like science fiction, but trust me, it works. I've tried it. In one of the videos that you're going to see in the playlist that I shared with you earlier, I'm doing precisely this. I have created a digital twin of myself using the technology from heygen, and we will share the information on the tools and the software that I'm using later on. So heygen gives you the opportunity to create a streaming digital avatar. What does that mean? It means that it's a real video avatar that you can send in Zoom meetings, in Teams meetings. You can have it as a customer support assistant in video and audio that people can interact with. That is a shocking piece of technology. It recreated the visual that you see. So what you see on your screen on the left-hand side is the avatar. On the right-hand side is me. So the left-hand side looks very realistic, and it has gotten a little bit better since I ran this test because its movement was a little bit jerky on occasions, so you could tell there was something wrong. Now they've made it a lot more fluid. So you have the avatar on the left-hand side of the screen that is a picture of me, the student's tutor. It sounds roughly like me. I could have made it better, but I didn't want to pay for the extra integrations. So it's got like a slightly American accent, which is funny, right? But it sounds roughly like me. It looks exactly like me. And it's been fed with the knowledge base that I choose to give to it. So it can be in character. So it will know that it is a tutor. It will know which module it's tutoring on. It will know information about the students if you choose to give them this. It will know the schedule of what we're doing, the types of exercises, the learning outcomes we're trying to achieve. You can actually feed the totality of the module content to the avatar as the knowledge base. But it doesn't stop there. In the background, you've got a large language model, which means that the tool then not only has the supplied knowledge base, but it has got the thinking, if you want to call it that, the thinking capabilities of the large language model. The result is it can talk to you in real time. So there's hardly any lag in the discussion. You talk to it, it answers back. You ask it questions, it answers back. And if, to go back to the original slide that was about the fear, are you worried about it making mistakes or hallucinating or going crazy? It won't. That was ChatGPT of 2 years ago. ChatGPT of today does not make mistakes. Or if it does, it sort of makes the same mistakes that I would make. Yeah? So it works exceptionally well. So imagine one of the functions of the tutors at the Open University and in other institutions is to be there for on-demand student support with, some boundaries. So the students can call us on the phone, or they can send us messages, or they can email us, and we can arrange an appointment. Imagine the difference it would make if the students could on demand talk to your digital avatar. And if you're thinking, well, okay, you say that the avatar can talk and think and behave, but surely is not going to be able to perform at the same level as the tutor. For the sort of questions that the student is likely to ask at 3 a.m. on a Sunday, then yeah, the bot is going to do fairly well. Because when you're getting emails in the middle of the night, they're about extensions, they're about questions on the deadline, or questions on the word count, or questions on the breakdown of the questions. They're about mundane things. The answer to the question is usually in documentation that's been shared already, but the student needs the comfort of getting this information from the tutor. So you are not going to be able or willing, and you shouldn't be, to pick up the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning to be able to answer those questions on a Sunday. But the bot will, because the bot will always be there on demand. And why am I going through these steps to create a digital video avatar that can offer this support, where the same knowledge base could be handled by a text chatbot? It's because this bot can create the connection with the tutor, because the student might not be particularly inclined to talk to a chatbot that is generic in the same way that you're asking Amazon when's your delivery gonna come. Creating the personal connection with the tutor and giving personality to the avatar can personalize the experience for the student and can offer additional and a feeling of additional connection. Now, if you're thinking at the back of the heads, isn't this overkill? And, why do we need to go through these extra steps to make these things? Remember the sort of environment we're working in. One of our key tasks is increasing student satisfaction, increasing engagement, increasing progression. If these are the targets that we're meant to match, if creating a personal experience with a personalized bot that the students are likely to use, then this helps us achieve those objectives. Because every time you're thinking, oh man, why do we have to jump through these hoops? Why can't we just do our job the way we normally do it? It's because the job, the way we normally do it, brought us to the point that we are today. So we got to try more things, right? That's my idea. Are you disgusted by the suggestion that you might be you might be replicated as a bot? Once you've gone through the process of creating a digital avatar that can live stream and can in real time communicate with the audience, then the possibilities are endless. And this is something that I have actually tested on real live students. I ran a contract class for first year undergraduates where we take them through a case study for the entire term. So we have this guy, Ryan, who is involved, who is working in a site, and then he got in an accident, and then he got all sorts of contractual and some tort disputes with the people around them. And that helps us bring out the topics that we try to teach the students through this case study in a continuous evolution of themes from week to week. I thought, wouldn't it be great, instead of me telling them about Ryan, that I actually bring Ryan in class and have him interviewed by the students? So I used the same technology that I was showing you earlier, the streaming avatar from heygen, and the knowledge base now was, you're Ryan, this is who you are, this is what happened to you, this is where we go to the case study, and you've come in here to discuss with your lawyers about your ongoing case. And this was extraordinary because I projected the avatar on the screen in the tutorial room, and the avatar managed to discuss in a multi-person conversation, because I thought that wouldn't work because of kind of audio issues. But in fact, the avatar could understand different people speaking. It could effectively transcribe what they were saying, and it could respond to them in real time. And because it has the capacity to go beyond the knowledge base, this makes a very, very relevant case study, because the students could ask him about anything and he would respond. So imagine the applications that this has in any sort of learning and teaching environment where we need to generate realistic looking case studies. If I could bring this into the class regularly, then I would be giving people these kind of stylistic case studies where I'm saying this is what happened, but we don't know the rest of the facts because, in a court, they would have expert witnesses and so on. We don't need to do this anymore. We can actually ask the people there. So we can recreate entire courtroom scenes with different characters that can be interviewed and can produce evidence and can participate in the discussions. So I'm thinking that even if we don't want to use these technologies in a sort of customer support sense, we can effectively use these technologies to kind of spice up the delivery of our teaching, create case studies, offer it, say, interview techniques. We can do this for employability skills very easily. I mean, there are so many applications. That is something that perhaps is a little bit easier to handle because this isn't kind of replacing the teacher in any way, but is like a clear teaching tool. It is something that can be cost effective for delivery to broad audiences, while otherwise, we would need to bring actors in and pay them for some sort of role play. Or even worse, we would need to role play ourselves, which is not as realistic for the students. It can also be used in assessment settings. If you want to assess somebody, conducting an interview or conducting an interrogation or trying to generate evidence out of a client, for instance, it can be used in all these contexts. So that I've got a little bit of real life evidence from that. I have seen how it actually interacts with the students, and I think it's useful. Now, if you're wondering how did the students react to this, the students react to this in the same way that they react to everything. They found it completely natural. So shockingly, nobody was shocked by the technology. Nobody was kind of afraid of the technology. Everybody just naturally worked with it. And the only comments that I had was that the avatar that I chose is a little bit older than what they would expect the person to be in the way that we described the case study, which I thought is very interesting in terms of feedback because it shows that many of the things that we were worried about weren't actually the problem. And here it could be like the fear that we started off with. The fear could be a generational thing. It could be that us, being a little bit older, are approaching these technologies from a different standpoint. It could be that for younger students, all these things are entirely natural, and many of the things that would concern us are not concerning them. So what I'm thinking here is that we can use all of these things together and deploy them in various settings. We could use some of these technologies for student support, either in a generic sense from university services or in terms of module specific, content specific subject expertise. We can use them in incorporating them in learning and teaching events or assessments. And we can, from that point onwards, use them for their interpretive and design and organizational capabilities. For instance, legal technology at the moment is a very big deal in my sector, and everybody's using AI legal assistants to produce legal work or to help with legal work. So I've been doing some tests of those, comparing the really expensive kind of paid models with the ones that are available to the general public and so on. This has, for our students, it has employability impacts. And this is something that we can come back to and discuss. Many of us started from the monster in the first slide. We started from a point of fear. If we are very cautious about our use of these tools and we let our concerns stop us from effectively using them, then I worry that we might be denying our students the skills that they need to operate in a future workplace. And that future is not very far, it's already here. If we don't get the students comfortable with the use of those tools, then we're disadvantaging them when they come out into the workplace. The outcome is, if we stick to our rules religiously, we deny ourselves the opportunity to first find out what's going on, and secondly, develop the tools and the skills that we need to pass on to our students to prepare them for the workplace that they're meant to fight in. The third aspect, therefore, of this presentation is that there's a great deal of power in AI assistance in getting them to generate both educational content that we can share with the students, for the students to generate their work when they're giving it back to us in the context of what they're trying to learn, and on the assessment and feedback loop to close that, where we can actually use these tools to provide more effective feedback to the students. So these are all discussions, at least at this end, that I don't think we're very open about. I think this is a part of the debate where we got bogged down by fear. We are worried that if we start using those tools and realizing their capabilities, the students are going to be upset or complain about it, or our managers are going to find out and tell us off about it, or the university is going to get in trouble for doing this, or there is some other kind of undefined horror waiting to come after us if we actually fully engage with that stuff. So it's something to think about. Maybe we're afraid for the right reasons, and maybe there's stuff that's going to come back and bite us. And I'm guessing if you don't see me again, you'll know that I went too far. But that's something that we really need to consider. And the point that I ended up making is that I have built an army, because up until a couple of years ago, I was by myself. I was by myself making PowerPoint slides and trying to make them pretty by downloading stock images and playing with the fonts. But that was about what I could do. But now I have an army. Now I've got bot representations of me. I can create educational content at a fraction of the time it used to take me. I can make cartoons. I can make video animations. I can make Hollywood level graphics that I can use to give to the students in an attempt to increase engagement, get them to pay attention, get them to react in different ways. And I can bring all these tools in the classroom in a way that it spices up our everyday experience, so they don't sit at the back of the room watching their Insta where I'm trying to talk behind the podium. So I have used the AI to build myself an army. And I am putting this army to battle, hoping that I'm going to have different outcomes from what we had in the past. And yes, they can think. The machines can think for themselves. And I think we're very close, and they can produce a great deal of the stuff that we do. Are they going to then lessen the need for the university to employ us to do these things? I don't know. It might happen. But on the other hand, we cannot resist innovation and pretend it's not happening when it is clearly happening all around us. Hopefully, this gives you some inkling of potential uses that we can put of some of these tools, if you're not using them already, because it's quite possible that you guys know about this stuff already.